Recording from upstate New York, it's Dave Stylez. And hello viewers, my name is Dave Stylez and welcome to the first episode of My 2 Cents. Now first off, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in today and watching us take our first steps and getting off the ground here. I appreciate all the support that everybody's already given. All the followers that we already have, and the subscribers on YouTube. So we've already got a couple emails, so I appreciate you sending in your emails as well. We'll get to them in a second, but keep them emails coming. You like we always say, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter, subscribe to YouTube, and I'll also give all that information and my email at the end of the video, as well as link it in the description, so that you guys can keep those emails coming. I can't answer all of them on videos; it'd just take too long. But I promise I will get back and write to back to everybody who sends in an email, and answer the best I can all your questions, concerns, and issues. So definitely keep those coming in. So we'll read a couple of those, and then we're going to dive into today's main subject, which coincides actually with the last email that I'll be reading, as well as a video that I watched earlier this week. It's going to be a pretty touchy subject for our first episode here, so I just want to let you know when it comes time to actually, if you guys want to watch the video that I'll be linking, if there's any young children around, after you hear what it's about and stuff like that, before you watch the video, use your own discretion whether or not you want them to be viewing it. It's not necessarily vulgar or indecent like that, but there is a topic in it, and there's some stuff that maybe it's not suitable for younger children to be watching. So just want to throw that little thing out there. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's read some emails. Our first email is actually from Katie. Now Katie wrote in, she says, I have a question about family. My brother is mad at my father for something that happened a while ago, but instead of telling my father this, my brother still talks to my father, but is very short with him. Now my father asks me if my brother is mad. Should I tell my father, or should I just pretend that I don't even know what he's talking about? Okay, now Katie, this is a really tricky subject, and my best advice for you is to actually just try not to get in the middle of it. You can talk to your brother, tell him to go talk to dad. Maybe you can help him, maybe a way that he can talk to his dad to fix the problem or whatever. Or if that, maybe you tried that and that's not going to work. Dad keeps coming to you. Maybe you tell dad, hey, if you think there's an issue, go talk to him. Try to figure this out. Let them two get together and talk about it. Let them figure it out, because 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen is either you're going to spread something that wasn't supposed to be, said, or maybe brother was ready to talk to dad about it or something. Now all of a sudden you're thrown in the middle, you're the bad guy, all the fingers are pointing at you. I mean, yeah, there's still that 1% chance that maybe, that's what they need to get linked, but it's just better off in the long run to just try to stay out of the middle of it, try to get them to go to each other and talk about it, rather than you try to be the intermediate person. Okay, so that's my best advice for you, Katie. I hope it helped you out. We'll go on to the next email. The next email is going to be from Bill from Connecticut. Now, Bill's writing in. He says, all my life I heard a phrase every time I messed up. It says, use your common sense. I'm starting to hate this phrase. Can you tell me what this phrase is even supposed to mean? I was thinking about it the other day when my uncle told me to use some common sense. I thought to myself, isn't common sense different in almost everybody's point of view? Am I wrong to think it, or is common sense something that a majority of people know and is a common technique? Can you please tell me what you think common sense is supposed to mean? All right, so Bill, my 2 cents on common sense. Okay, now I once read a thing a little while back that was talking about whether it's true or not. I enjoyed reading it, so this is what I like to interpret it as. Okay, so a long time ago, they said that most people thought that intelligence was a sixth sense. Okay, so now everybody has intelligence. So whether some people have a lot more, then a lot of people have a lot less. Okay, so basically, with everybody having sixth sense of intelligence, it was considered the common sense. No pun intended. Okay, so basically, instead of insulting somebody and saying they were stupid or, flat out telling them, use your brain, dummy, or something like that, they basically just said, use your common sense, which sometimes made people feel like they had, maybe a special power or they were more intelligent and they could think harder about it or something like that. So it gave them, a little bit more reassurance to just figure out the problem rather than calling them dumb. Now, so you could think of this, Bill, next time somebody says, use your common sense, you could either get, take it as an insult and get mad and, angry about it, or you could just basically assume that they're saying, hey, Bill, you got some intelligence. How about you use, look deeper, figure it out, get your common sense, use your common sense. So that's what I'd like to think, that is, because after all, it's common sense, right? So our third one is actually the email that I was referring to earlier. That's going to lead us into our main subject. And this girl wrote in. She is wants to remain anonymous, so we'll just call it confused and upset. So she says, I've been with a guy for 4 years and don't think he wants to be with me anymore. We have a baby girl together, and I think that he's waiting for me to make the move so that he doesn't have to feel bad about it. But I'm not going to do it because I can't do it. What do I do? Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Okay, now I had a similar situation when I was quite a bit younger. One of my first relationships, and maybe it's not what's going to happen in your relationship. Maybe it is. But here's what I'm going to share with you. Okay, I was together with a girl for a little while. So, matter of fact, it was 4 years. So we were together, and I wanted to make it work. I was thinking we were drifting apart. I was seeing it. But at the same time, I was that type of person. I still am that type of person that I can fix this. I can always do something better. I can fix it. So I tried to stay with her for a 5th year. Okay, now I'll tell you what happened during the 5th year. We basically just became completely miserable. We argued all the time. We fought all the time. And what happened at the end is we said a lot of hurtful things, and it just ended very ugly. And, hindsight, what if we had just talked about it? What if we just sat down? And that's my advice for you. Go to your boyfriend or husband or, whatever he is. Go to him. Talk to him. You guys have been together for 4 years, Talk to him. Maybe you can hash something out. Maybe you're both feeling a little something, and, the distress and stuff, and you can just talk it out and work it out. That's the best case scenario. Let's work this out. Because luckily for me, and I say luckily, is I didn't have a child, okay? Now you have a child, and that's the most important part of this, is that you have to do what's best for the child. It's not just about you, okay? So figure out where he's at. And if he can't give you a straight answer and you still feel like he is just not going to give you the commitment that you need, you have to also look at what's good for the little girl, okay? Because what's going to happen is you guys will start fighting. She sees it. It's just going to trickle down, in a cascade. And the one that's going to get hurt the most is the child. You don't need the child around that, okay? So figure it out. Do the best you can, If you need it, and if you still feel like he's not like that, you got to get out of the relationship. That's the sad truth about this advice, is that you got to do what's best for you, do what's best for your little girl, get out of the relationship, find somebody that can be committed to you, that wants to be with you, and that'll make you happy, and in turn will make all your family happy. Okay, that's the best I can give for you, because I'm going to lead into my main subject and talk about why something like this needs to happen. Okay, I watched a video earlier this week about a little girl. Now, the little girl in this video was in a family where mom and I'm thinking it was dad, maybe it was just mom's boyfriend, but nonetheless, the two grown-ups were always arguing. It was an abusive relationship. The video shows maybe a possible little bit of abuse on the little girl. I'm assuming that because they don't really show too much, physical abuse. But that's not the point. There's physical abuse, but the point I want to really stress about this is the emotional abuse factor that nobody really takes that serious. This little girl in the video, maybe 8, she's maybe even a little bit younger, but she's like scarred. You can hear her story, you can feel the emotions that she goes through. She tells this story, and it's very heart-wrenching, and it's such a sad subject, but it's a reality subject that a lot of people know about, but maybe try to turn the other cheek because it's not comfortable. It's not a good subject, but yet it still happens out there, and there's still a lot of moms that are abused, and there's still a lot of dads that are abused. It could happen either way. It don't matter the gender. But here's the thing: is like you have to somehow gather whatever strength that you have and get out of that relationship, not just for you, but for the sake of that child. Okay? Because the emotional stress that you're going through is 3 times, 5 times, 10 times harder for that little girl, for that little boy. These kids have to grow up way before they're supposed to grow up because mom or dad isn't taking care of business like they're supposed to. And even if there's not that aspect, there's just the emotional distress that really sinks deep down inside of them. Okay? So that's my main point that I'm trying to stress here is if you're in that kind of relationship, if you can somewhat rationalize this situation, I understand you're in love with that person. I understand maybe that person, some people just can't walk away from an abuser, and that's a whole nother subject. But you got to think about that kid. You got to think about that child, that innocent child. Now, this video was put out a couple years ago. I think it was about 3 years ago, almost. So I mean, it's an older video that's been out there, but it also hints on the factors of poor foster care. There's abusive foster care, and then there's good foster care, but the child is so like torn that they can ruin some good foster cares even. But I mean that's another subject, the bad fostering and stuff like that. But the subject that I was trying to touch upon is the fact that none of that even has to happen if mom or dad can try to build up the strength. And I know it's not easy, and I'm not saying it's easy. I've never been there. I don't, I can't even fathom it, but I know how deep emotion that it sends through me and sends through a lot of millions of people, to see a child go through this, to even see mom go through this or dad go through this, So I'm going to share this video, and it's a subject that, like I said, I feel very strongly about, so I want to share it. It's been shared over 1 million times, but there's a part 2 that came out as well. But it just rounds up what I've came across this week with the email from Upset and Confused. But yet I watched this video and it made me tear up, won't lie. But it's just a subject that really needs to stay at the top of attention, because if you can help, if you see it happening, if you can help somebody out of the relationship, do whatever you can to possibly help, because you never know what kind of lives you'll be changing. And if you're a foster person, just you got to be with these kids, if they're damaged by this kind of relationship, it's all about that little child, that innocent child. So I could literally talk about this forever, but I'm just going to share the video as well as the other information. So if this video is not for you, don't worry about it. Don't watch it. I understand this is not, you know, for light hearts. I mean, this kind of subject does not sit well with some people, whether it be angry or sad or anything. So if it's not for you, don't watch it. But I felt like it needs to still be shared. It still needs to be, you know, forwarded around, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going to share the link to the video below, as well as my information, so you guys can follow me at Twitter or Facebook at Stylez, my 2 cents. I also will be linking my email down at the bottom, so you can email me any more advice that I can possibly help you guys out with. That'll be Dave Stylez, my 2 cents, at gmail.com. So once again, I just want to thank everybody for your support, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching, guys. But for now, that's been my 2 cents.